Now, the question has been going around the community for a while now at this point. Will this guy, Shikamaru, be fired from his position as Hokage? I believe this man is so important and integral to the position on the job that his disappearance, his absence would not be to the degree of this guy Naruto, but something so devastating to the Hidden Leaf that already in this time of turmoil, they will have no choice but to shake their head in distress. Boruto 2 Blue Vortex chapter 33 has shown us the end of the Mamushi arc and so much to look forward to because of the contents that has happened throughout this arc, throughout the middle parts portion specifically, where Lord Kobu's interrogations was raining heavy and concerns regarding Shikamaru and his position, but not only that, but the position of ninjas, the Hidden Leaf state affairs in total, because he said not just the budget issue, but the whole entire village as a whole can be put into question. You know what I'm saying? All of these things has been brought into light throughout this arc, and now Shikamaru is on the spotlight because I look at it as two risky missions, high risk, high reward, and he took the reward on both cases. The Sand mission ended out in a success. The current invasion, which inevitably would have been an invasion, so it can't even be something like Shikamaru took this mission under secret. He's protecting the village under secret, if you want to keep it a buck. But this mission turns out to be a success. Now, in the hypothetical future, it turns out that Mamushi not only killed a lot of villagers, but as well as Himawari and Ada, which resulted in Inojin coming up with this jutsu. Now, the future being changed because Inojin entering this battle prior with knowledge of the jutsu that he's actually supposed to learn after this battle, it led to a future where Mamushi was actually more cautious, where Mamushi did not prioritize just rampaging throughout the village and killing villagers, because he was like, you know what, there's no point in that. And then add on top of that, also in every other future, he's not going to destroy the village itself because of Jura's orders. So he was much more contained and much more well maintained without this arc, and seeing how everything unfolded, it all makes sense. Now, this guy Kobu's life was placed in danger. He's no ninja, so it's not confirmed, but it's safe to say he isn't aware that Inojin was the one who took over his body, and that's how he ended up on the rooftop. But that is still into question, because regardless of him being saved or not, how do we go from me interrogating you and then all of a sudden my life is in danger just to allow you to do more of your job, to give you more leeway? So already suspicions are there, which is why it's very important for what Kobu stated, because when he's on the rooftop, he sees the threat, he sees the enemy then defeated in front of him and saved by this guy Boruto, and then he proceeds to see Boruto standing next to Shikamaru as they're consulting on what to do next in the current crisis. Now, Kobu being a mature person and making the rational decision, I'ma let y'all do y'all, because y'all are obviously out here fighting, but this still don't make no sense to me. So Shikamaru, don't think you're free to go just because I'm letting it off the hook right now, right? Because lives are prioritized, and in this case, obviously for Kobu, he wants to prioritize his own. So how much is actually going to be brought to light, and what actual angle is this guy Kobu going to be willing to go? Is he going to take into consideration that Boruto spared his life, or is he really going to double down on the fact that in his memory, in his mind, this guy is the guy that Naruto decided to take in, and now the lie has been spread that Naruto and Hinata have both been killed by this very same guy? So how do you even take that when seeing this guy save you before your own eyes? How do you process that? How do you feel about that? Politically speaking, Boruto has been public enemy number one, yet politically speaking, Boruto has been an extremely great asset in maintaining the current crisis, not just for the Shinju, but also regarding this guy Code. His mind and his attention has been on this guy Boruto for the last 2.5 years, as opposed to simply terrorizing the villages and terrorizing, more importantly, Konoha village in his presence. But no, because of Boruto and because of everything that Boruto has been doing, unbeknownst to them, things have been operating in a much more smoother pattern than they actually have been laid out to be. So how does Kobu go from here, and how much of the blame is shifted towards this guy Shikamaru? I think a potential political arc is something that's gonna have to be explored. So it's not something as simple as we could come up with a simple decision, but more so something that has gonna be fleshed out and more details panned out for us to understand the future layout of the village, the current stances of the village. I want to see perspectives from, the potential Kazekage and God Gaara, we haven't seen him ever since he's been KI MIA, and we understand he has to be one of the main people at the very least to have Shikamaru's back. Shikamaru ran the first risky Operation Traitor Hokage mission to save his stepbrother, and we see how those things played out. So Gaara should be very vocal in terms of backing up Shikamaru in terms of how he wants to approach the current crisis. As long as Shikamaru makes his stance clear, he has to understand, as hard as it is to accept the truth, he can't convince them of the truth, and there's no point in trying, so he has to make it as logical and reasonable as possible. Boruto here, good. Boruto not here, bad. Simple as that. Let's focus on the nitty and gritty after, but right now there's something very, very emergency heavy in front of us that we need to deal with. So if Shikamaru makes his stance clear, I do believe he has a chance, and at the very least, with someone as powerful in terms of political stances as Gaara backing him, that might make his stance seem that much a little bit better. Now, as for the hidden cloud, as for the hidden stone villages and the hidden mist villages, who's to say what those Kages might even believe their current mind states and time frames, depending on how their daimyos may even feel about the current predictions. But in all of their minds, Naruto is dead. So all of that he say, she say, come to Jesus, kumbaya, all of that is dead with Naruto, because essentially he was the anchor that held all of that together, and he had the strength to back it up. Now it's simply a free-for-all, a major power vacuum. And the more in decline that Konoha goes, the more concerning it becomes, not just for Konoha, but for the rest of the world. And most importantly, the smaller neighboring villages, which can also start to brew up a whole lot of conflict. So in their eyes and their perspective, if Shikamaru isn't able to maintain or hold his power, then we're gonna have to side with their feudal lord. Like, what are you doing, my guy? You haven't settled the killing for Naruto. Now you're working with his so-called killer. Now you're losing people. You're losing this, that, and the third. So everybody is gonna be having all eyes on Shikamaru because they haven't had that personal experience with someone like Gaara, where he knows, nah, that mission low-key came in clutch. It helped. It saved my life. I did lose a ninja on it, so on paper it looks bad, but at the end of the day, that was my team's decision to do that, understanding that Team Yodo, Shinki, and Araya, that's Team Gaara. So that was his team's decision to do that. So it's gonna be very tricky, and there's gonna be a lot of, you know what I'm saying, this side or that side, which is why it all goes back to what Boruto's told Kawaki earlier on. Revealing too much of the truth early on, it just becomes so complicated and messy, regardless of the power of omnipotence. You know what I'm saying? The twisting of the truth is going to be so complicated that it's going to inevitably spark a civil war. And I think these are some of the seeds that can ultimately be planted, and Shikamaru's position as Hokage is going to be crucial. So let me just come out cut and dry and say it. If Shikamaru is removed from the position of Hokage, I do believe a civil war is something that Ikimoto is seriously thinking about drawing up for us within the village, whether that be village versus land, i.e. the Konoha village versus the Land of Fire, or simply village and village versus another village, basically breaking up the ninja treaty, the peace treaty that was established and maintained by Naruto, headed by the Konoha village, or within the village itself, basically disagreements amongst Shikamaru's position, whether he needs to stay or needs to be removed, right? So figures like Sai, figures like Ino, you know, all these other top heads and top Jonis and ninjas, we need to start seeing more of their perspectives to get a better understanding of not just how the top political leaders feel, but also the surrounding people and the surrounding voices around Shikamaru feels. Because if the top people already feel a certain way and the surrounding people feel the same way, well, then there's no conversation. Shikamaru, you have to go, and most likely not home, but behind bars, my guy. But if there's a bumping of heads, there's a difference of views, most likely and more likely, especially in Shikamaru's favor, where the people surrounding him are questioning the decisions that they're making above him, he might have enough to back him to where, okay, if you remove me, then that's just gonna mean a whole bunch of infighting for the village, and I'm gonna choose my side, and that's the fight we're gonna have to fight for. So I do believe it's gonna be that deep in terms of Shikamaru possibly being fired or removed as Hokage, and it all weighs on the shoulders and minds of this guy, Lord Kobu. What does he report back to the daimyo ultimately, and how much of this does he still manages to handle on his own? Because at the end of this arc, we know that he hasn't simply just left the village yet. So is he waiting, and should he be waiting until everything has been settled to speak to Shikamaru again? Or has word already been sent to the fire land of fire daimyo, like, nah, you need to come check this out. Everything's been fishy, and plus Boruto is here. It's going to be very important and crucial details that we need to understand and be established in chapter 34 to see how we will be going forward. Now, I'm excited for the Hidari arc. I'm excited to see Jurif one last time go crazy and all of this extra stuff, but this political arc is something that we truly need, and I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna keep it a beam. Maybe, yeah, I hope it's the next arc that we have cooking up. Yeah, let's chill off on the Shinju a little bit. I know people want us to get past the Shinju, but I've already seen, soon as chapter 4 and 5 came around, I'm like, yeah, they're here to stay for a while. It was already seen in the setup. So yes, the Shinju are gonna be here possibly for another 2-3 years until we get rid of Hidari and Jurabo. So next arc, let's focus on the politics and let's really get the nitty and gritty. Let's establish some of the grounds that are going to be laid out for once we get to the freeing Naruto and the freeing Sasuke arcs, because once those two, arcs are established and become closer and closer, the political grounds and firmness and steadiness of the entire Ninja Nation is going to be in more questions, but we're going to have a more different understanding, especially by that point in time, whether how much people still accept or deny this guy Boruto, and how much of the truth is still kept hidden or actually revealed to the masses. This is your boy Black Child 3, long face, skinny body. Let me know how y'all feel about it, and how do y'all think Shikamaru's position as Hokage threatens not just the village but the entirety of the ninja world as a whole, not to the degree obviously of this guy Naruto, but in terms of the steadiness and the decline of the Hidden Leaf from being known within the last decade plus as the top head ninja village, and now to see it simply crumble before your eyes. What does that say? So comment below, let me know how y'all feel. It's your boy Black Child. Holla at your boy, I'm holla at y'all. Black Child out. Yes sir. Ski.